What is up, RuneScape.com? It's your boy Ojama Garrett here with another flipping for dummies, but this is also going to be sort of a mindset episode since this is like super important to every sphere of life. So I feel like this is a really important video to teach about, because this is an active I feel like this is one of the most popular issues in like the country and in the Western world. This is burnout, and also like it really truly applies to RuneScape, because a lot of times you can find yourself running into the question, why am I even doing any of this? And this video is going to be an attempt to help those deal with burnout, fight it, how to recover from it, etc. So most players quit flipping not because it doesn't work, but because it feels slow, it's boring, they don't see the results fast enough, mainly because it's easy to get burnt out from flipping because it's not a slot machine. The rest of the core mechanics in RuneScape are more, they're built to be a slot machine. You fight a monster. That monster has a drop table, which, you know, is like pulling a lever on a slot machine, and you see all the numbers happen. You know, you're swinging your scimitar, you're inflicting damage to the monster. The monster's bars going down, so, and then you're getting XP drops on the screen because your strength is going up. As you see the XP drop happens first, then you know that you're going to hit. So then you're like, oh wow, what's the number going to be? And all these different things are firing off neurons in your brain to cause dopamine spikes and surges, and then all for that big drop. You know, are you going to get the pet this time? Are you going to get this thing or not? Are you going to make, you know, is this drop going to be this? And there's just different ways to just flood your dopaminergic systems with just dopamine and just flood it out. And that's just the main core loop of RuneScape. And flipping doesn't have really any of those except for graph go up. So unless like you build tools for yourself to show yourself things on the screen and trigger those dopamine results from like tracking profits and stuff like that, you're not really getting it curated to your brain like the rest of the game is, that Jagex is doing for the rest of the game. Flipping feels boring because it's stable. There's no adrenaline, there's no drops, there's just quiet compounding GP. Like I said, the best way to do it is to check it once a week. You know what I mean? It feels really good looking at it after a week. You know, if I have one trader in and I'm checking every single day, some days are going to feel really crappy because I didn't make any money. But then some days there's a bot dump and I got 200k fire runes on one of my accounts. And I'm like, holy crap, awesome. This free-to-play account just made me 200k, and all I did was invest 15 seconds of labor into it to set this the most basic trade imaginable. That's awesome. But there's not a lot more than that. That's about it. You know what I mean? The anticipation of did you make money is the only thing you have waiting for, but it's not very visually attractive. And that is, if you're debating whether that's like important or not for something to be visually attractive, mind you, like 90% of the RuneScape player base I reckon is male. So at least overwhelming majority is male. And the male species, the male biology is very visually what's the word, we're very visual creatures. That's why like sex appeal is used so much in advertising and stuff like that, and why like any female lustrous women can make it big on the internet very quickly, because the internet is a very visual space. So if you stick all those things in people's faces, you will get more attention from men. And I'm not talking about just sex appeal, but it also applies to like gambling and stuff like that. These are all visual stimuli, which the male brain is very much, well, all brains in a way, but like the male brain is stimulated a lot more. And I'm speaking from a male perspective as well, being visually stimulated myself. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just flipping doesn't have that, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, these are just the parts of the reason why it's going to cause burnout. So you're building a business though, not chasing a boss pet. So like what's so appealing to this, and one of the first mindsets that you can apply to fight the burnout about this is to just like think of it this, you know, you imagine in your mind that you're building a pseudo business, and when I do that, that made it very scratched my itch, gets me excited, reignites the spark. Whenever I stop and think about it, I'll write about it. When I sit there and I'd be at work and, you know, you hate your job because all jobs suck, because all bosses suck, you pull out your little piece of paper and you start taking notes about the thing that you wish you were doing, which is working on your business, working on your pseudo business, working on your flipping empire. And then that would just, that was the you know, like on Survivor when they're rubbing the sticks together to make the fire for the burning challenge. That was the thing that got the spark going for me. You know, the ferro rods and they're smacking the sparks and they're shooting it down. Like that was it. They're like that was the ignition to the fire that would just start slowly burning up and up and up, and has led me ultimately to here, to starting a YouTube business, selling the course business, education business, selling stuff. You know, like it all came from the RuneScape business. Okay, the pseudo business. So there's one mindset to help you fight through burnout, okay? So once you embrace the boring too, like this is also going to help you fight with the burnout, because you're not wanting something. If you want the visual stimulus, go get that. Don't flip that much. You know what I mean? Like, but if you want GP and that is like your big whatever, then, you know, understanding what flipping actually is and how it's not grandiose, flashy, whatever. It's all charts and whatever. That's why when you see my content, you don't even see me play the game anymore, because I'm talking about like mental things. Like I don't have the vocabulary right now to explain this, but we're not talking about like I'm not creating entertainment content. I'm creating educational content. So it is just boring. It's all like numbers and data and like that's it. There's no that's why there's no words, because that's all it is. But once you have that expectation for that's what flipping is, your brain will stop going, why am I not getting that that high I'm getting from the other stuff, the slot machine, the RuneScape slot machine. And then you will start like, once you have a realized frame of what it is, it becomes a lot easier to bear and doesn't cause as much burnout. So ultimately, you're going to run into burnout. Let me move my face quick. Okay. You're going to run into burnout all the time. And this is just the way to like inevitably like slow that process down. Like all things you do, you will run into a burnout stage on some level. So how to beat that or to like delay it is to ultimately take breaks when you feel it coming. Or just regularly take breaks. You know, like RuneScape has that thing, like take a break from your screen. You've been doing it for a while and stuff like that. And just make plans. The best way to take breaks is to make a plan ahead of time. I'm 1 month of the year, every February, I'm going to not play RuneScape. Just no matter what. And just make that a rule. And what that will do is reset your tolerance. Because when you play something like RuneScape and you actively participate in the slot machine, this is very drug mechanics. I don't know if anybody's ever like drank alcohol a lot. You know, you build a tolerance to it. You smoke cigarettes, you build a tolerance to it. You smoke weed, you get a tolerance to it. You take any sort of pharmaceuticals, you'll build a tolerance to it. You know, crackheads and cocaine addicts, everybody builds a tolerance. And it's no different with RuneScape or your business or really anything. So when you build a tolerance to something, it becomes plain Jane sugar. Sugar is a really good thing. If you ever try to fast from food, this will work too. If you just take a month off from playing RuneScape and then you come back in March 1st, it will be very similar to how you felt when you first started playing the game. If you ever have that feeling of like nostalgia for a certain type of video game, which you do because you're all 25 to 35, that's what my analytics say. So you have nostalgia from the 90s. So everybody wants to play the N64, the PS1 at some point. You can, and then you have that nostalgic feeling. So you go find Quake 2 or whatever. That's what I do. You know, I go play the first Command and Conquer game on N64 or whatever I do to scratch my nostalgia itch. You get that overwhelming feeling of euphoria, but it quickly goes away once you get used to it. And how you like, the reason why it happens though is because you're not always just playing the game. You took 10 years off from playing those games you were as a kid, or 20 years off from playing those games as a kid, and that's why it's such a huge high when you re-experience those memories, re-experience those feelings. So just planning a break, what I'm getting to is that if you just plan a break to take a month off and you just don't touch RuneScape, you will be agitated, frustrated. You will be like, why am I not getting my fix? Why am I not killing whatever boss you're killing? Or, you know, the high you get from just building your bank up or gear progression, all those different highs that RuneScape is designed to give you. You will be so agitated. You will hit this period where you're just chill. and then you'll miss it, and then March comes around, and then, you know what I mean, like, so you'll have the first initial agitation from the start of the month, the middle of the month you will be okay with it, and then towards the end of the month you will build this in huge anticipation to play the game again. So when March 1st hits, you will want to jump right back into it really hard, and it'll all feel great, and it'll feel like very similar to when you first played it again. And this works all the time. So that is a lot for take breaks. It's just that these are just my notes, so I know what to pop off, and what's going to be important is whatever. So not a big deal. So I'm just going to go to the next thing I think of. So there's another thing I do to beat burnout. I was just talking about this with my partner. When you take breaks, planned breaks, you will feel there's just a feeling in your brain where goes, you know, there's a certain threshold where your brain goes, this doesn't feel as good. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like a light switch, because I do this thing with ADHD, whatever you want to call it, where if I get, you know, you hyper obsess about one thing. I hyper obsess about things all the time, like multiple times, but I've like kind of trained it to be towards my strengths. And what I do when I start to feel, I get to that threshold, it's like a switch for me now. Like, it doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good. It's not stimulating me anymore. I will immediately, I have a rotation of projects that I work on, or before my project farming, I would have video games. I'd play 3 video games. I've been playing 3 video games for a very long time, 10 to 20 years. And it is RuneScape, when that would feel bad to me. 7 Days to Die, when that would feel bad to me. Smite. I don't know if everybody, it's the League of Legends, but it's third person. So those 3 games I would just rotate between, and there'd be other little games I'd play in there, but those would be my big 3. And that kept me playing RuneScape for 20 years. That kept me playing 7 Days for at least 10 to 15 years. And I don't remember when Smite came out, but I put way too much time into that game. And anybody who's ever played like League of Legends probably is the same type of thing. But you just have a plan to rotate between the games, and then you stave off burnout. Like I said, I've had periods of burnout on RuneScape and stuff like that, like I'm saying, but it staves it off, and it allows you to really dig in and to really progress in one thing, because you just plan to do 3 things and just rotate between them, so that you can just like keep that same wavelength of stimuli. Anyway, right. So another way to beat burnout is to do the minimum possible. This is why when I say, like, when I do my little flip farm, which I've taken a couple weeks off because I'm in a little whatever, doesn't matter, do the minimum possible. I make 200 to 400 mil a week, and I'd play 1 day. I'd reset my trades for about 3 to 5 hours, and that's the minimum possible, because it was easier to maintain than it is to attain. Because for me to build all of my accounts, to get 760 accounts online, plus 60 accounts waiting to splash, plus 2,000 accounts created, plus like the 300 accounts that are through Tutorial Island and stuff like that, all of that effort is in a crazy amount. But once you push through that, having maintenance cycles is just going to be an easy way for you to just stave off of the burnout, because maintenance is like 20%, the work is like 80% of any system. Once you've attained it, just maintain it, and then you can just you profit off the fruits of your labor. It's the same for RuneScape. Again, pseudo business. It's going to be the same for business, because like the business I have established right now, to maintain what I'm getting like financially, is like no labor. Like because I get burnt out from like the content grind, because content and designing courses and all this creative work and stuff is new to me, so it kind of like makes my brain melt, and it makes me very frustrated. Plus I'm learning how to like become a father, stay-at-home dad, not become a father, become a stay-at-home father, dad, business owner, instead of 9 to 5 wagey, whatever. There's a lot to handle. So sometimes I get burned out and I do need to chill, but like the money I make now is very low effort compared to what it took to get here. But like, just do the minimum possible. If you're feeling like you're approaching burnout central, just like, okay, I feel bad. Now the plan is I'm going to do 10%. I'm going to I'm going to only check my flips once a week. I'm going to get on and do 1 Slayer task every day. That's it. Or I'm going to do 1 quest a day, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like the minimum possible for you to get on. I'm going to get on and do 1 herb run. Okay. And if you fail, this is something I used to do all the time, and I still kind of fall into it myself. I still struggle with it mentally, but when you're doing let's say, you have a goal, you set a goal. I do this all the time. I try to have daily goals set, because if you don't have a goal, you don't have a plan, so you have nothing to move towards. So without a goal, you can't really accomplish anything. You're kind of at the whim of your emotions and whatever the day brings you, etc., etc. When you're setting a goal and you fail that goal, because inevitably that'll happen. There's this thing called scope creep where you just think big, and I always think big. And with that, you will fail. So then what I do is like, I go, okay, I'm going to do twice as much tomorrow. So like when you fail today and you get on and you're like, I'm going to do twice as much tomorrow, you're setting yourself up to fail again. What you should really do, and this is why I love 5x5 strong lifts, is that it starts off easy and then it progressively gets hard. But then when it gets too hard, you just chill where you're at. And then if you keep failing, you regress your weights. So say you're stuck at 225 squat. You know, you can't get the 5 sets of 5 with clean reps, so then therefore you cannot progress the 5 pounds. So then you try again the next day, and if you fail again, you roll the 5 pounds back, and you just keep doing that back and forth, and that's just your plan. You just keep doing that. It's all whatever. But with your anything you're doing on RuneScape, say if you mess up a herb run, you can go like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to do 2 herb runs, and then you're going to increase the likelihood that you're going to fail the next day. Or you can go, okay, tomorrow I'm just going to do a birdhouse run, because that would be easier, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Some sort of thing like that. Like, I'm going to create 20 traders today, and 20 traders, you fall through there. Okay, I'm going to do 40 tomorrow. Okay, well, you're really going to fail tomorrow. But if you do, okay, I'm going to make 1 trader the next day. You know what I mean? Like, it could be extreme like that, just to break the momentum of failure. And then restart your progression again, because then 1 trader, okay, I did 1 trader, okay, next day I'm gonna do 2 traders, okay, that was easy, okay, I'll try 4 the next day, okay, and then you just rebuild the momentum, and then the positive endorphins and dopamine and all that stuff's gonna come back to you like crazy. So that's just that. Okay, another way to stave off burnout, or how to beat it, is to do stuff you like and avoid things you don't like. Okay, I know that this comes with a lot of like caveats, but do stuff you like, avoid stuff you don't like. Doesn't mean don't get a job, don't make money, okay? You know what I mean? Like in real life and on RuneScape. You know, RuneScape requires things that, you know, well, RuneScape kind of really doesn't, but it does at the same time. Like, you know, you gotta get gear if you want a boss, you know what I'm saying? So, but like, you know, getting gear sometimes sucks, you know, but you don't have to do the highest GP per hour to get that gear, so that you can be the most optimal, most efficient to get into that activity you're doing, or else you're XP wasting or wasting your time, blah blah blah, whatever people say. You could make cannonballs or cut magic logs or do the stupid I like doing that stuff. I like doing cannonball inventories because I like playing on multiple accounts, so it'll be very simple for me to do cannonballs on 4 accounts and feel pretty cool playing 4 accounts. I don't know, it's just me, it's just who I am. I don't even care why I do it, I just like doing it, so I do it that way. But I don't like doing Vorkath. Okay, so I don't do Vorkath, and I could maybe figure out how to do it on 4 accounts all at the same time and stuff like that, but it would be, besides the initial just to say I did it brag rights, I would not like doing that a long period of time. It's way too intense. There's way too many opportunities to failure. Resetting gear sucks. It's super annoying. You know what I mean? Like all the context switching, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do it. And if I did force myself to try to do it, I'm just going to increase the likelihood that I'm going to go into a burnout phase and then just ultimately stop playing RuneScape. So, again, and I know this sounds simple. A lot of this stuff sounds simple, but it's got to be said. It's got to be said. Sometimes the simplest things are the things that are right in front of us that have the most impact. But because they're so simple, we overlook them. Okay, so I'm covering all the bases today. So, next thing to beat burnout. This is one I am victim to constantly. That's why I have to put an asterisk and explain here. But do not talk to people about what you're doing. Okay? Don't talk to people. Now, this comes with caveats and nuances as well. But ultimately, generally, don't just talk to people about what you're doing, because this is what happens. We're social creatures. So when you find something that you really are excited about, and you go and share it with somebody, like let's say my girlfriend, okay? And I'm not, like, I love her, she's awesome, but I will not go and run to her with certain things that I know that she has no interest in, because if I go take that thing I'm really interested with her, and she is not that interested in it, I'm looking for reciprocated energy, like your kids do this all the time. This is an even better example. So my kid will come up to me and be like, Daddy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. But you're really excited, so that I will fake being excited for you, because I know I don't want to shut him down, but because that's my role as a father, part of my role or whatever. But adults don't give a shit about what you're doing. most of them, okay? Unless you're in a group that is specifically, you know what I mean? Like this is a RuneScape channel, so people are going to be more likely to like RuneScape, you know what I mean? But I'm even more niche. I only like graphs and charts, okay? I don't care about what pets you got. Pets are kind of cool, but who cares? I don't care that much. But if you're like, you've been hunting the giant mole pet for the last year because you're so unlucky, and you guys have been talking about it in Reddit or whatever, and you, oh my god, there's pet, whatever, that's the people you go talk to. But if you come talk to me about what you're doing, then I'm going to go, cool, bro. But then that lack of reciprocated energy is gonna bring you down, unless you're that type of like super eccentric person, which I kind of am. So it's kind of like I can overpower that with a lot of people and stuff. But like it does for the most people. Don't take your things that you really cherish, share them with somebody, because if they don't reciprocate the energy, like because we're social creatures, we are looking to mirror from people. That's why like death to image, death to your status. That's why status is so important to people and stuff like that. That's why like people care about their image so much, and why people are so fake in the normal culture, and that's why there's like cultural norms and all these different things, because we need it. We need that acceptance. We need that reciprocation. It's like it fuels our identity. It fuels wins. Like it's a way for our body to like recognize something as real or not. That's why like gaslighting is so powerful. That's why like all these different things. But that's why it's so important for you to be careful who you share things with, because like I used to get really excited about sharing everything that happened on my YouTube channel to all my friends and stuff, and most of them just wouldn't message back for weeks, or not weeks, like a few days or whatever. Some of them weeks, because I don't really talk to those people anymore, but whatever is what I'm saying. Because when I'd be like, bro, I made $1 today on YouTube, and then somebody's like, awesome, I'm like, fuck, I'm a worthless piece of shit. That's what happens, you know what I'm saying? So just don't, a way to fight off burnout is don't talk to your mom who hates RuneScape about RuneScape. You know, don't talk to your girlfriend about like how many fucking brutal black dragons you killed today or whatever, what your collection log's up to, or I don't know how many scimitars you got in your bank or whatever. I used to be really proud of my scimitar collection, and every time I showed my girlfriend, she didn't care. And it was bullshit, bro, because I was so close to a fucking green stack of bronze scimitars, and that would have been so fucking awesome. But she didn't give a shit. So what the fuck, bro? But anyway, that's what I'm saying. If you just avoid talking to them about that, then you're not going to get into a burnout stage, because you're not going to trigger your emotions. You're not going to cause like a negative emotional experience to then your brain will then tack onto your RuneScape bubble, all the things RuneScape. If you fill that up with negative experiences, you will just ultimately not do it, because that's how you'll get burnout with that. So next thing, you cannot cheat sleep. Okay, I've tried. Okay, so a little history lesson here. You know, I used to take Adderall, just prescribed it or whatever, and I used to you know, whatever, I take it, and I realized that I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, and that caught up with me. So, you know, you get like fucked up. You just get fucked up when you don't sleep a lot. Like everybody in America is cheating sleep with caffeine. They're cheating sleep with drinking. If you drink, you cannot really enter REM sleep the same. And that's why you get really vivid dreams when you drink, because all of the dopamine, or not the dopamine, your body goes on like complete red alert, and then it tries to get rid of all the alcohol, so then it staves off your REM sleep, but then all of it hits you at once like a truck. So then like it'll try to like get all of it in one time, but then that cheats your sleep. So then like you're like not getting enough sleep is like walking around drunk all day. So like if you don't get good hours of sleep, like you don't just sleep until you like, I don't know, you stay up late to try to get more RuneScape time in, you're really taking time away in the future. You're taking away time from future you, because if you get 4 hours of sleep, the next day are like 24 hours on 50%. And then you will take time you'll have to sleep more to catch up those hours and get back to your full 100%. But if you play, you know, your 4 hours at 100%, it's going to be worth more than 8 hours at 50%, or even, probably even more. Like sleeping, it's not even 50%. I feel like when I don't sleep, now that I've been like self-employed, I just sleep until I get up, and I have the max amount of energy. My mind's always there. There's other things I'm not doing that aren't perfect, but my mind is always there sleep-wise. So like I am operating at a higher efficiency now, like than I've ever been my entire life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just by getting my sleep back. So you can't cheat it. And if you cheat sleep, you're just hurting yourself in the long run, you know. And the biggest thing that it's going to cause is burnout, because you're going to be so like, everything is going to be 4 times as hard mentally. You know, you're not as emotionally robust. You're just like tired, you're grumpy, you're grouchy, so you're going to cause all of these compounding effects where you're going to have terrible interactions with people, terrible interactions with the game you love to play, RuneScape, whatever, and that's because you don't have sleep. So then again, that big bubble of RuneScape that's going to have all of these negative interactions, you're going to increase the your negative memory of RuneScape, so it's going to increase the likelihood that you're going to just eventually not want to play it anymore until you hit a burnout phase. You wait a long period of time from not playing it again, then you're like, oh man, because you tend to not remember bad times more than good times, because normally when you're remembering the past, it's because something is unfortunate happening to you now. Like when I've been content, I don't spend time dwelling on the past, but if something's really annoying to me, like my kids are going right in my face, right in my face, I'm just like, god damn, I miss Smite, and I haven't played it like 2 years or a year or whatever it is, or you know what I mean. But that's when you catch yourself going down memory lane, is when bad things are happening to you. So sleep, it'll do that to not just RuneScape, but literally everything in your life. It'll just cause all these compounding effects, which will just like accelerate when burnout happens. So how to beat burnout also then, which goes hand in hand with sleep, is exercising. Your body, your brain needs blood, okay, right? And the best way to get your brain more blood is to increase your cardiovascular system, its efficiency. So you do that through what I used to do, which is just go get a hard-ass factory job and sweat my ass off all day. That was a really nice way for me to just like prime everything, keep myself in shape and stuff, you know. I put on 10 pounds since I quit. Really haven't worked into an exercise routine or some sort of, I'm just trying to build some sort of system where I'm like working for myself. So I'm building like a soap factory in my basement or something. That should help a little bit. But you know, cutting wood, whatever. That's what I brainstorming there, because like exercise, this is my theory on exercise. Like exercising is great, the gym and stuff like that. But for somebody like me who wants to like always be making bank, making money, stuff like that, I need some sort, like I can't just go squat. I love squatting and stuff like that, and I like it a lot, but it's not the same as me as like splitting 8 trees of oak and stacking all the wood and then looking at the pallets full of wood and covering up with a tarp and going, god damn, I just did all that. That's awesome. And then like conceptualizing the amount of money I saved, whatever, you know what I mean? So that's the type of exercise I'm going for. But exercise is the best way to increase brain function, or one of the top 3, we'll say top 3 ways to increase your brain function, because you're going to be increasing your cardiovascular ability, and your brain needs blood, okay, for it to do its things. So you want your brain to get blood so that you can get the plaques out of your brain, so your brain can synapse better and all this different stuff. And exercise is just going to keep you at peak performance. Your brain is like also your nerves. So like when you exercise and feel the world around you and interact with the world around you, you're actually like learning to, you're like kind of in a way making yourself smarter, because your brain is interacting with the world. But like with a user interface like a computer or a video game or something like that, you are very limited in your brain to nerve connection. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're very limited, like you're moving a mouse around and stuff like that, and you're typing keys on a keyboard and stuff, but that's like a very limited part of your brain. It's a very focused part, which is good. It's a different way to train your brain, but like you're kind of not expanding your brain's ability as much as you could using your whole body to do things. That's why lifting and exercise is gonna be really good, because you know, like having 400 pounds on your shoulders, or like trying to deadlift 400 pounds or something like that, or benching double plates for the first time, is gonna put yourself into situations that your brain, I don't know, it just really helps. And it just makes you more robust going through those situations, like you know, hitting new highs for your whatevering, for your whatever lifts, or you know, you've done the most pull-ups you've ever done, or learned a new exercise, or now you can plank or whatever, you can do a muscle up for the first time. All those different things are going to give you the more emotional robustness, which will allow you to tolerate more negative circumstances, which then makes your ability to have negative things in your RuneScape bubble higher, because you'll have tougher things, and it'll make things that seem tough before not seem as tough. So exercise is a really good cheat code to beat burnout. Then this goes kind of, my next one here, join a community that's specifically for like tasks, goes kind of with goes with avoiding talking to people about what you're doing, joining communities that are specifically about the things that you're enjoying is like the other side of that, not the other side of that coin, the other side of that pendulum, because if you're in a group that loves flipping and you just talk about flipping, you have a higher likelihood to find others who will reciprocate how awesome that is. And that will make it so that it's better for you. Like, it'll increase your positive experiences because you'll have that reciprocation between like-minded people, which, you know how people complain about echo chambers all the time? The reason why echo chambers are so prominent and happen so much is because it just pumps you up. It gets you pumped up and it reinforces your behaviors. And so, like, finding a positive echo chamber is like the best thing you can do for yourself. It's just like, it's insane. It will make you it just will overwhelm you with positive experiences. Plus, you'll have people that you can lean on to talk about negative experiences to share burden. So you double your positive experiences and you half the load. Just simply talking to somebody and they say, damn, that sucks. And then that just like is like a big sigh of relief emotionally. You know what I mean? And if like you're trying to talk to other people who don't know what's going on and can't really empathize with you because they're not really on your same level because they're not doing what you're doing, then it's going to be really hard for them, or it's going to be really hard for you to share the burden, like for you to emotionally, spiritually share the burden with another person. So yeah, join a community specifically for like tasks and you should be able to stave off burden. Eat less frequently. Okay, so I need to explain this as a big caveat. I'm not endorsing anybody to become bulimic or to, what's the other one? Anorexic. I'm not saying that. Bless you. What I'm saying is most Westerners are overweight, okay? And I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's just a fact, okay? And what causes that, the biggest thing that causes becoming overweight is eating more calories than you're burning. And I'm a prime example. I put on 10 pounds since I quit my job. I was eating like 3,500 calories a day. No problem, because I've been putting 10 hours in a sweaty-ass factory loading up 80-pound straw blanket rolls into stacks of 25 and then whatever, you know, by myself. All this stuff. And I'd be doing like crazy amount of rolls per hour. You know what I mean? It's sweaty work. It was hot work. It was like dusty work, whatever, all that stuff. So I was burning a lot of calories just trying to maintain. You know what I mean? But we all just eat because then a lot of it is, you know, access or, you know, there's not a lot of like coping mechanisms in today's life that work as effectively as food do. And I'm speaking from experience here. Like if I had a really bad day, I will eat 5 brats. Okay. I love brats. I think I've had 18 brats since last Sunday. Not this Sunday, not this last one, but the one before. So it's a lot of brats. Anyway, eat less frequently means cut snacking. Eat less frequently could mean don't eat breakfast. Eat less frequently means to intermittent fast. Eat less frequently could mean to eat 1 meal a day. That is what I specifically do. I try to only eat 1 meal a day. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. I try to do, I just did a fast. I didn't eat for 3 days just to trigger autophagy, where your body eats dead cells and regenerates a little bit and gets into like, you know, it cleans out the liver, all this other shit, you know what I mean? It just allows your body just to like remove excess. And it was a nice way for me to reset my whole eating habits or whatever. But anyway, if you can eat less, you will have more brain function. Because what happens when you eat a meal is about, don't quote me off the top, this is off the top of my head from when I remember the last time I looked it up. It's like 33% of your blood flow, which we talked about in exercise before, will leave your brain and go to your gut. So imagine who you are when you get up in the morning. You're at 100% roughly. After you wake up, maybe you had a cup of coffee or something like that. Triggered the ketosis. So your body switches into fat burning cells for energy for your brain, which your brain seems to run better on ketones than it does sugar. It can do both, but ketones, it makes sense from a biological perspective to use the food that's coming in because your body doesn't know when that's going to stop coming. It saves energy too because you're not wasting energy converting the sugar into fat. It just makes sense to burn it and use it as it comes in than it does to store it as fat and then use your fat as energy. I don't know, whatever. That's kind of the way I see that. But anyway, all that aside, your brain, just the baseline, when you eat a meal, 33% of your brain goes to your gut. So when you're up at 100% and you eat a big breakfast, you are now 66% of who you are. brain wise. Like you're slower, you're more sluggish, all this other stuff. And I'm sure there's ways that you can like eat things that aren't high in the glycoglycemic bullshit, whatever that's called, where you're not like triggering a huge insulin response because you're eating complex carbohydrates or a high protein diet, whatever fats you're avoiding, stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. There's a million different ways to skin that cat, but at the end of the day, you cannot get away from the fact that your digestive tract requires a lot of blood to run. And if you take that blood away from your brain and put it into your digestive tract, you are not operating as a high efficiency. You're not as sharp, okay? So when you're not as sharp, things bug you more. Because, well, it's like, it causes a lot of issues. So things, maybe it doesn't bug you more, but it causes you to, like when I'm pissed off, I'm super pissed about something, I know I can go eat 5 brats, and then I'm going to go into fucking brat coma. Okay, so then things like my kids screaming in my face, or a poopy diaper, I'll be like, oh, whatever. Or like, I need to do something. I need to get this course done. I need to get this video done. Yeah, whatever, I'll do it later. I'll take a nap first. So then you're putting things off. And then when you're doing that, you're like, instead of being able to do it now because you're sharp, you're lowering your workload, or you're raising your workload by putting things off. So then you're taking away time from RuneScape, but you still want to play RuneScape. But now you have to make that decision. Then if you do play RuneScape, you're increasing it further. So then it compounds and can cause a lot of different issues. So by eating less frequently, especially if you're training up and weight change, I would like to see you all healthy. So if you can lose weight and all that other stuff, awesome. You know what I mean? Like, let's fight diabetes, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Food issues. Awesome. That's what I want to see for everybody. But then also, if you're sharper, you're taking care of business a lot more, and you're just a lot more present with your activities. You'll have more free time, thus making it so that RuneScape is not a this or that. So you're increasing the positive likelihood of your the likelihood that you're going to have positive experiences with the RuneScape session that you're having because your plate's clean. But if you're playing RuneScape instead of doing other things, then you're kind of like making it a negative experience because now it's becoming an issue for your life. You know what I'm saying? So that because of that, now RuneScape may be construed as a problem in your brain. So now you have this internal conflict. So then therefore burnout will start to creep up. Okay? So that's what I'm saying about like eating less frequently. I'm not saying to just not eat. Well, kind of I am. But I'm not saying to be unhealthy. I'm saying to be healthy. So if you're eating 6 times a day, eat 3 times a day. Calorie count. Do keto. 1 meal a day is perfect, bro. I love 1 meal a day, man. You could especially it's perfect for like binge eaters, bro. Like you eat. I tried it for a while, man. It's like this one Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy who's like a champion. He does it. He'll eat 1 meal a day, and it's like 3,000 calories. It's this giant pizza or something. His favorite meal ever. And he says it's the only way that he's been able to maintain weight. And it's the only way I've been able to maintain weight because I eat like a fat ass. Like yesterday, I had 3 McDoubles and a large fry, and I smoked that shit. And then later, I had 4 grilled cheese, or 3.5 grilled cheese with a big old soup bowl full of like an entire stack of saltine crackers, and I wiped that out no problem. And I could have probably eaten 4 brats after that. Like I just needed to wait for the grain to settle. I'm like a walking fat. I'm like a mental fat ass. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, I know that I have that beast inside of me. This is hunger, and it's just like I have the hunger because I'm like I don't know if that's like really important to explain why. But I got it. But I eat one meal a day. It lets you be a fat ass, bro. 1 meal. Just eat an entire cake. I mean, that would probably be horrible still, but still, just limiting the amount of like damage by reducing the frequency of meals, you'll just become healthier, which will allow you to be able to handle more burnout, negative experiences, and then burnout can't creep out. You can keep it off as longer. Your life better in track, etc., etc. So, boom. Force yourself not to play RuneScape or do flips for at least 1 day a week. Okay, so that goes hand in hand with take breaks, playing a month off, and I kind of like didn't see that at the bottom there. Also would have waited to mention that, but if you just 1 day a week little micro breaks planned ahead of time, you will do it, dude. I tell you, it does wonders. Having a day a week where I don't do anything work related and just fucking play Diablo for like 16 hours straight, or Fortnite for my kids for like 12 hours straight. And then be like, okay, cool, I got it on my system. Now I got 6 days of just hard ass work or whatever, whatever life responsibility. But just having that 1 day off a week and just having a dichotomy, like a duality, like that Sabbath thing that the Christians talk about, that the Jews talk about, is a crazy power. Like if you could just work it into your system. But yeah, so there's that. All right, so now we how to deal with burnout to avoid it, but eventually we're going to hit a level of burnout. It will happen. It happens to everyone, I feel. It's just a part of life. There's cycles to everything, you know what I mean? There's ups and there's downs, and then there's the valleys, and burnout exists in those valleys. Just accept that it's going to happen. You can't keep it away. Bad times are going to come. You know, the faster that you get to just like accepting it, understanding the situation you're in, and then making the decisions, taking the actions to move out of it as quickly as possible is the best thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So when I've been in a burnout, it's been like little burnouts, little, pissy parties for myself or whatever, to just like full-blown depressive episodes, where I can't do anything. I have no mood. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've forced myself to go through the habits to get things done regardless, because I've just existed in it enough where it's just one of my modes. So I can still get stuff done if you have to or whatever. But I've had a lot of time in burnout to like form this list. So the number one thing I would suggest is, like, as much as possible to stop working. Just don't do anything. Like, sometimes you just got to sit in it and just like feel through it. Let it happen. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to go against like kind of a popular belief, but like, you know what I'm saying? Because people are like, get those little wins, do your dishes. If that's all it takes, walk one block, do 10 push-ups, you know what I mean? All the self-improvement people, and that stuff is good. It's good to recommend that. But sometimes if it's bad enough, you just need to stop entirely. Literally just stop doing everything as much as possible. So that stop working. And that's why I put that in there with stop stimulating, because stop stimulating is kind of a given. Everybody knows that. Stop like watching porn. You shouldn't be watching porn ever anyway, so don't watch porn. But I'm saying like don't play video games, don't have fun, don't engage in like high sugar calories, don't engage in like social events, whatever. Depression has utility. Sometimes depression is telling you are in a extremely vulnerable state and you need to isolate yourself from everyone so that you can recover, whether it be emotionally through processing or whatever, or physically. Let's say like if you're damaged, let's say that like, oh, here's a good example. So I've broken collarbone before, and when I feel the pain, I don't take any painkillers and stuff like that, because they gave me prescription pills for that or whatever. I would feel okay and I would try to use it. But when I was not on those painkillers, I would be extreme agony and depression. But what that did for me is it made me not do anything, as in to accelerate any further damage. So like that is what I feel is the main utility of depression. So it is very important that like in some phases, if you're feeling a heavy amount of depression, it will stop you from exerting yourself and injuring yourself further. It will stop you from trying to get wins and then losing more and perpetuating that cycle, that momentum. And just stopping will break cycles, because usually when you're doing something, it either grows, it compounds, or when you're doing something, whether it's good or bad, like playing, like let's say Fortnite, if you go on you have a bunch of good games, then you're more likely to have better games. But if you lose games, you're more likely to lose games. It's always going one way or the other. It's never just like, it's never nothing, is what I'm saying. So like the only way to like break those types depression, the only way to break those types of negative feedback loops, those negative cycles, is to stop doing anything and just completely reset from zero, so that you don't have like the game ticks in RuneScape. You have ticks. There's real life ticks too. So enough ticks go by where then now your past ticks aren't influencing your next tick, because you've completely reset yourself. So do the bare minimum. That's what I'm saying. Like with not working too, is like you still got to go to work and pay your bills. Do what you can to survive. I do recommend that everybody builds up a 6-month savings, so that if you do hit a burnout cycle, you can tell your job, whatever fucking stupid 9-to-5 Walmart job you got, if that's your case, to go fuck themselves and just take a week off. If they fire you, who cares? Because you can just go to the next retail store. Because man, let me tell you, It don't matter if you got fired. Them motherfuckers are always begging for work. I've seen motherfucking people that got fired for the most crazy stuff when I worked there come right back 6 months later. Like, they do not care. They do not care. Nobody holds a grudge. When the managers are crying about because they actually got to do something, they'll hire your ass right back off the street. So fuck them, man. Take that week off, sleep, do whatever, don't do anything. Have the savings so you can still pay your rent that month and then not give a shit. But whatever. If you got to go to work, do the bare minimum. You know, be a quiet quitter, that type of person, whatever. Do not invest in anything. Tell people, yo, man, I'm depressed. I don't know what I'm gonna do if you keep bothering me right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do to myself just to, like, you know, fucking get them to stay away from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, freak out on them, do whatever. Like, your manager, you know what I'm saying? Like, all those little tactics that you can just get people to stay the fuck away from you. Just stand by yourself in a corner, whatever. Show up to work, literally don't do anything, so they send you home or something like that. I don't know, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's not everybody, but I'm saying the people that, like, feel like they can't skip work or whatever. That's kind of tips for that. All right. So then another thing is huge. This should go in how to beat burnout, but this is how to recover. Electrolytes. So, like, one of the things I've found for myself, and one thing I've found from, like, most people I've talked to, so then I've kind of scaled it out to the entire country, is that we don't get our daily level of electrolytes normally. Like, you, for instance, you need 2,000 milligrams of potassium per day, or one whole cantaloupe. And we do get potassium and stuff from certain foods and stuff like that, but we're not getting, maybe we get enough potassium, maybe we get enough sodium, but we're not getting selenium, we're not getting calcium, we're not getting chlorine, we're not getting those micronutrients that make your brain go zap zap. That's what they all are, the electrolytes. The electrolytes make your brain zap, so then your brain operates more highly or at a higher efficiency. And if you don't have that highly efficient brain zap, you are going to be in a fog, and that fog is going to cause you to be more afraid. So then, by getting electrolytes and replenishing those things, your brain can better process what's going on, make the best decisions for the situation that you're in, get you out of it as much as possible, and, like, dictate better decisions for whatever regulatory behavior our brain is doing for our body that we're just not aware of. Plus all the other functions that electrolytes serve, like potassium, I think, potassium's like for muscles and shit like that, so you don't cramp up and all that other stuff, all that good stuff. It's just, electrolytes are just like the first go-to step I say to everyone who feels bad. Like, yo, man, not just water, but have you been drinking not just Gatorade, but milk? Or, like, have you been eating watermelon? Have you been eating bananas? Have you been eating a lot of fruit? Have you been whatever, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these, have you had a lot of salt on your steaks today? Even that type of shit. Like, if you're sweating a lot, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. You're peeing a lot because you drink coffee, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. You're drinking Monster Energy, you're dehydrating yourself because it costs more water to get that to process the water that you're getting from the Monster Energy. Plus, then also you're pissing and, like, hurting your liver and doing all this other stuff with all those, like, concentrated sugar molecule, whatever, all the other bullshit they put in energy drinks. That you need electrolytes to come in, because, like, as you do bad things to your system, electrolytes fucking flush. So then you need to replenish them like crazy. And that is, like, step one of recovering from any burnout is electrolytes, I would say. I should have probably put that at the top, but I mean, like, for diet, whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's just huge. So then reflecting and journaling, this is going to be major, because you're going to need to, like, process what's happening. Like, if you sit there and just let a thought keep repeating in your head, you never get to a conclusion. And the way our brain kind of works is that, like, we need to see conclusions. That's why it's kind of dangerous to, like, if you're trying to get stuff done, to stay off your cell phone, because if you get invested into a YouTube video, especially because they know what they're doing, they're trying to keep you interested using retention metas and stuff like that, or television shows, your brain then dedicates some of its consciousness to finding out what's happening at the end of that. And I don't know what, I've just read that sometime, I don't remember exactly where that's from, but, like, that's just the way it is. You know, we're curious, we want to see how things, like, conclude, and it kind of feeds into that same, like, that slot machine, the dopamine slot machine that goes in our head. When we want to know the conclusion of something, the reason why we want to know the conclusion of something is because it's a dopamine payoff to know the end. Plus, it forms a complete cycle, and then with that, your brain can then, your subconscious can process that situation and then extract the valuable lessons from that situation, so that it can help itself apply to, like, make less mistakes in the future, so that you don't die. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how that works. So why that's important and why we need to reflect and journal is because you need to write out the things that are happening in your life, like what's bothering you. Why are you unfulfilled? Why are you restless? Just get the things out of your head and write them down, because then you'll eventually form some sort of loop, some sort of completed cycle where you can then just like get the lesson, get the thing like, oh my God, she cheated on me. Oh my God, I'm upset because my work sucks. Oh my God. Da, da, da. So like you complete these thoughts. Once they're finally completed, like doubt in the world, you can then process and then figure out what to do, what's next, or, you know, reset your expectations, because you may be in a burnout from like a, what is it called? The Bible, what do they call it? Deceived. You may be deceived because of your ignorance or your arrogance or whatever, or maybe whatever, blah, 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 but just like seeing what's going on, seeing the whole map, and then like looking at it as much from a macro scale as possible so you can put as much things together are going to help you get out of a burnout cycle. And it's like, it's very important. A lot of people spend their whole lives that I've met, they've spent their entire lives never processing a single thing. They just run to the coping mechanism. And if you got to do that, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not judging anybody for doing drugs or drinking or masturbating or whatever you got to do to cope to get through, because everybody needs a crutch. Like, you break your leg, you need crutches. You're not less of a man because you're using crutches. You're not less of a man because you're using a coping mechanism. I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying though is that you will spend your whole life using a crutch when your leg's already healed. You will not, like, you're just increasing the likelihood that that leg's going to be like worthless, because if you're like, you know what I mean, like when you're in a wheelchair because your legs are broke, but then you never get out of that wheelchair, your legs will just disintegrate to nothing because you'll just sit in the wheelchair. You become like, you know what I mean, like if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's the same thing with reflecting. If you don't ever process through these emotional things, you then just, you'll never grow. You'll never like recover. I mean, you may recover, but then that part of you will become more worthless. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll disintegrate. So like, you know, your ability to handle conflict at work will become harder to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Whatever. So that's like a bunch of the my ideas about why reflecting and journaling is so important in a burnout, to recover from it, especially. Go right through the pain, all that other good stuff. Next is accept that it's happening. Do not be in denial. Be real, bro. Like, do not deceive yourselves. Like, accept that you're in it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like any, like AA, the first step is admitting you have a problem, because if you don't admit it, your brain will not start generating solutions. Your brain is a big chat GPT. Okay, everybody? There's part of your brain that's you, or whatever, your consciousness, the thing that's tethering your consciousness to this reality or whatever. That's just the way I see it, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Anyway, but there's a part of your brain, the thing that everybody refers to as the subconscious, is nothing but a chat GPT. It is a chat GPT, and it only responds to its inputs that it's getting from your will. So if you don't admit that you have a problem, it will not generate you solutions to deal with that problem, because it's not a problem. But then if you're not recognizing that something is a problem, you are going to suffer all the consequences of that decision, or lack of therefore. So then you will just burn to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't accept that you're in burnout, you'll keep acting as if you're not in a burnout cycle. You're not depressed. You're not anxious, or all those other things you're telling yourself because you don't want to feel whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Again, try not to judge. I'm just saying, like, but this is just the way it is. If you're in denial, not the river. Anyway, if you're in denial about the state of being that you're in, you're going to like not generate the solutions and just burn to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you walked into a fire and pretended like there's no fire, your body would still burn up regardless of how you felt about it. So it is very important that you accept whatever negative situation, which is like especially burnout in this situation, accept that it's happening so that your brain can work for you, not against you. Because it's just crazy, man. If you just let your brain do stuff, like feed you the results, like if you're typing in ChatGPT, like you could just get yourself through so many different things, and it's you can unlock a whole new potential of yourself that, like, you know what I mean, like Gohan and fucking Dragon Ball Z and Krillin and Tien or whatever, when they all get their hidden potentials unlocked by, I think it was Kami or whatever, and then fucking they just explode in capability out of nowhere. That's how the human condition is, and a lot of that is because you need to be real. You can't like deceive yourself. You can't fake shit. You can't really fake shit and then really get valid brain solutions to progress from where you're at if you're lying to yourself. So, moving on. Spending time with loved ones is going to be a very, very big thing to do, because like when I'm depressed or I'm feeling worthless, if I am alone, which is okay, I do need to talk to people sometimes and be like, yo man, I'm a piece of shit. And they're like, yeah, that's all right though, whatever. And then for people to still just accept you. So that's the whole point of like being with loved ones, whether it's friends, colleagues, people, your inner circle, people that you can really trust to handle you at your worst. And you just You just let them know what's going on, and then they say, yeah, bro, that's whatever. And, you know, that's essentially all your spirit needs to remain tethered to reality, because it allows you to be vulnerable, and it allows you to grow. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of what makes somebody someone isn't their greatest achievements. It's like what they become at the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, how, you know what I mean? Like, who you are when you're most vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And spending time with the loved ones, and it'll allow you to really recover quicker. Like, there's like instances where you're alone, and that solitude can produce like a different, it'll change you for the better. It can change you for the better, but most often than not, when you're by yourself, it's a lot easier to give into a mindset called nihilism, where nothing matters. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way anyway, but it's a very dangerous mentality. It's a very dangerous philosophy to get into. It's dangerous, because if nothing matters, then eventually your life doesn't matter. So then you just don't do anything, or you give into debauchery or degenerate behavior. And like, I'm not saying degenerate behavior as in I'm better than anyone. I'm saying degenerate behavior as in things that will accelerate your death. That's what I mean. So that's why spending time with loved ones will keep you tethered to reality. It'll keep meaning in your life, because that meaning will help you recover. All right. So then go outside. This is a big one too. Go outside, just like, because there's like the human element that we need to connect with, but there's also like life in general that you need to connect with. Like, I'm Christian, so I connect with Jesus Christ and stuff like that in life, and that's how I connect with everything. But like, regardless of if you believe in Jesus or not, this is still a biological fact that like we are a part of life, and we are all connected on some level. And there is so many, you can go look up the science stuff if you want to. I'm sure there's plenty of arguments to be made for going outside and smelling leaves and grass and touching the ground and going for a walk and all this other shit, and just like intermingling with nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're finding out about the microbiome. Like, we can't just nuke it in our gut. So there's a plethora of things that happen, good things that happen from just going outside and walking around, being in the forest, smelling stuff, all that, you know what I mean? Being around it, just like picking up a stick, finding a good stick, bro. Like, everybody loves sticks. I love sticks, and there's always that stick out in the woods that you want to keep forever. There's always looks like a gun or a sword. You know what I'm saying? That meme. Anyway, so then beyond that, I've talked about this at length before, but rotating projects will get you out of a burnout. You know what I mean? Like, if you're plugging away at your RuneScape flipping, and you're just like, damn, dude, this sucks. Go boss, or go play a different game. Rotating. Once you're stuck and you're not getting derived as much pleasure from what you're doing, or satisfaction, not necessarily just pleasure, but satisfaction, endorphins, the dopamine or whatever from the activities that you're conducting, rotate, go to something else. Your brain, like, a good way to like, it's like putting starting fluid in a lawnmower that like has a bad carb or something. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like, it's a hard time starting. If you spray the starting fluid in there, it may just allow it to start up. You know what I'm saying? Even though like it's harder to start up every time, but if like you rotate projects, it might just be a spark. Novelty. That novelty dopamine will be like a fucking like a rush of a drug that will go through your veins and may jumpstart you and just break you out of a burnout cycle that you like were about to get trapped into. So it's really, really powerful. It's small, but it's really, really powerful. So when you're done with your burnout and you've done all the things that you can do, and you start to feel yourself, the tides are shifting, it's shifting the other direction now, and you're feeling a little bit better every day or every hour or whatever time frame you're thinking about or whatever. You're feeling like you can take out the work again. Rejoin the world small, like tiny, like really, like when I do this, when I lift, you know what I mean? Like I've squatted a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I've hit burnout, took like a month off, feel like shit. I will still restart at the beginning of my workout program at 45 pounds and just do the normal routine again, and just do it, just to rejoin small, just to stack those wins, and just to make sure that I'm on like a good recovery path. Or maybe because I took the month off and there's some twinge in my knee that like if I try to go back even like at 50% of my 1 rep max or whatever the fuck it is, or whatever I was doing, like I just don't risk just breaking down. You know what I mean? Like we just rejoin small, take the little wins, then progressively overload again. You know what I mean? You got to restart. Right. So hopefully all that helps. But now, like, the reason why this is all super important is because like we need to generate consistency. So learning how to deal with burnout is going to help you generate consistency, because it's super easy to be consistent when everything is easy. But if you don't have any tactics or training, or tactics or training or methods to get through your lows, which maybe it's not me, but when I look at like self-help and all that other stuff and self-improvement, nobody really talks about how to deal with these things. Maybe it's just because I'm not, whatever. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't really see it. But like, you need to learn how to deal with the lows to really become consistent. You don't need to find the perfect flip. You just need to show up every day. The guy who flips 5 items every day for a month will crush the guy who flips 50 items once and then quits. So it's like, you get there by learning how to handle your worst days, not your best days. It's easy. There's a saying I always have. It's when it's hard, survive. But when it's easy, step on the gas. So use tools to stay in motion. We got 07.gg Pro as market scanners, recipe scanners. Check out the links down below. It's like GE Tracker on crack, because like this guy is actively developing this website. Join the founders. It's $25, 6 months. You know what I'm saying? After it's released, but unlimited beta access. You join the founders, give feedback. I want this feature made. Development team tailors it to whatever you want. It's not some finished, polished product that is just, you buy it, that's what you're getting. Nothing can be changed, whatever. It's early, you know what I'm saying? So like, you have a lot more control on what the product's going to look like. So that's the value for you. It'll track your flips, rotate items and accounts, make it effortless so you never stop, even on the bad days. And that's what this tool is going to help you do. So review. Be patient with yourself. This is all about consistency. The patience plus consistency plus discipline is going to make you a winner. Okay, that's how you build a flipping empire. When it's hard, survive. When it's easy, step on the gas. Buy my stuff. Buy my course. I'll hold your hand. You join my Discord. I'll coach you, whatever you need. But yeah, I'll hold your hand. We got like 5-6 hours worth of content on there to show you how to build 700 plus accounts easily. Time save is money made. Link down below. 07.gg. Use my link. It's $5 off. Unlimited access to beta, 6 months access after release. Subscribe and become a member to support the channel, support other content, whatever. Have a nice day. Thank you guys very much. Hope this helps you out.